What's up, guys? My name is Negev, and Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrated. Also, it's nearly time for Christmas 2024 in the USA. Even I'm in the group from the ball drop.
I don't necessarily agree with every story on Cambridge is painted, but it's important to get a broad perspective on
Look at the countdown.
It's not just because I was trying to find the right way to tell the story myself, but because stories like this are how we shape our view of the world around us. In that way, journalism has a lot of power over us.
I'm just gonna go to the Unity venue. Wait. Lobby.
Unlimited access to all the features. That's ground.newsite. Just click the link in the description. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think.
Yes, the band
Is it Is it Iceland? Oh, it's in Japan.
Together, our voices can illuminate the world. If we always listen for the sounds of each other.
There's a good chance you saw the same areas and hopefully you've seen some excellent content already released.
Wow.
Investigations, but I think it would be helpful to provide some context from an engineering perspective about how
35 minutes until Christmas 2024 USA.
Today we'll talk about vessel division design for bridges. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was a smooth, heart-shaped, continuous through truss.
35 minutes.
A lot more detail about the different kinds of bridges and how they're classified, but this bridge had kind of a structural measure style, so let me hand it off to our special guest correspondent, Rogan Rock, to break that terminology down. line on the spectrum. Supporters to those living under this foundation of power is why elections are different. Yet many keys for few rules essentially first, get the key supporters on your side. Then you have everything. Without that, now in order to keep those keys to power, you must control the treasure. You must make sure your treasure is distributed to you and to the keys position. This is your true work. Secrets are powerless to
It's actually snowing. I'm ready for the countdown. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo!
Which brings us to the third advice supporters.
29 minutes.
But the key is necessary to create it's having someone else in the world is fighting in the past, but uses the same spending and by definition, a dictator that pulls all of this
Then we just disabled the leaderboard.
citizens and vice versa. They all have their shapes and responsibilities. In a well-designed democracy, power is transferred from the man who is taking powerful political decisions to the voters, meaning we must get millions and millions of citizens to have a voice in politics. It leaves with so many rules and such fractured power, it's impossible to, as a dictator, follow the rules of royalty who isn't don't think of citizens as individuals with their individual desires, but instead as divided into blocks, elderly or community blocks were democracies have long been involved in tax codes and laws, not as access, but as a reward for wealth that gets received from moving representatives in power. Farming subsidies, for example, have nothing to do with food and shopping, but entirely guarantee the vote of the farmer is. Countries where farmers vote to make swing elections and farming subsidies. The farmer doesn't vote to farm for citizens, and no change does to be served, even if large numbers which is good news for you. One less block to sway, and the treasure you give your key blocks has to come from somewhere. If you want long years in office, Rule of 3 is your friend in a democracy just as much as a dictatorship. You can't eliminate those who don't vote for you, but there is still much you can do. Once in power, make it easier for your key blocks to vote and harder for others. Establish voting systems that reduce the number of blocks you need to win and the more rivals you get. Very handy indeed. Draw election borders to predetermine the results for you or your opponents, and have party-free elections with Byzantine rules.
25 more minutes.
Mix and match the ball for even better power perpetuation. People ratings could feel While you can't just promise to give them treasure directly as the dictator would, you can create loopholes for their investment, pass laws that they written, or bring together out of genuine conflict. But the real value of going to the door is for their business. You as a ruler do have buildings to build and computers to maintain and buildings to construct. Or you could take the moral path and ignore the big P's, but you fight against those duties. Corruption is not something that but rather control of so such a thing, swaying key blocks, you will get into power. Ruling with actions that look contradictory is to go to those who don't understand the game. Privately helping a powerful redistribution of tax or passing laws that block the process. Your job isn't to have consistent personal but you balance the interests of your interests. Just why the obvious. It requires you to pay taxes. Most legislators rule to control the treasury rate. If we graph the tax rate versus the number of tax there is a clear relation. 45% more taxes. So you are sitting comfortably in this democracy, staying strong because you are fellow citizens. and citizens do support. But representatives in a democracy tend to be a smaller percentage of the population. They are not just out of the goodness of their hearts, but because it increases citizen productiveness, which increases treasure for the ruler and their key supporters, even when a lower percentage is taken. Democracies are better places to live than dictatorships, not because representatives are better people, but because their needs happen to be aligned with a large portion of the population. The things that make citizens more productive also make their lives better. Representatives want everyone productive, so everyone gets highways. The worst dictators are those whose incentives are aligned with the fewest citizens, those who have the fewest keys to power. This explains why the worst dictatorships have something in common. Gold or oil or diamonds are similar. If the wealth of a nation is mostly dug out of the ground, it's a terrible place to live because a gold mine can run with dying slaves and still produce great treasure.
Papamahin at puso-puso. Take Dr. prescribed Urigo. It's 4 times B12 versus a generic B vitamins brand. Helps relieve the symptoms of nerve damage. Ask your pharmacist for Urigo.
Oil is harder, but luckily foreign companies can extract and refine it without any citizen involvement. With citizens outside this cycle, they can be ignored while the ruler is rewarded with the keys to power.
Yes.
Thus, we live in a world where the best, smartest democracies are stable, the worst, richest dictatorships are stable. In between is a valley of revolution. The resource-rich dictators build roads only from their ports to their resources and from their palace to the airport, and the people stand. Hey there, have you ever wondered what happens to your wealth? Hey there, have you ever noticed how prices keep going up? For example, back in the year 2000, a burger price was around $2. But today, in 2024, that same burger may cost nearly $6. And it's not just food. Back in 2000, a movie ticket was around $5. Now, we could be paying more than $10 for watching a movie in the same theater. So what's going on? Why do prices keep increasing? Why don't they just stay the same? Are sellers raising prices together on purpose? Actually, there's one big reason for this: inflation. You've probably heard this word before, but do you really know what it means? Why does inflation happen? And is it always a bad thing? In this video, we're going to break down what inflation is and how it works. Section 1. What is inflation? Inflation is actually pretty simple. It's when the prices of things go up over time, which also makes the value of money go down. That's why things like the burger or anything else you buy cost more now than they did years ago. When inflation happens, your money can get used to. For example, in the 1970s, the average price of a cup of coffee was only around 25 cents. But now, in 2024, if you want to buy a cup of coffee with those same 25 cents, you're probably just get an empty cup filled with no coffee. So the coffee prices are going up, and the value of money is going down, making everything seem more expensive. But why does this happen? Well, that's what we'll talk about next. Section 2. Why does inflation happen? Inflation can happen for different reasons, but let's talk about the most common ones. The first one is the demand pull inflation. This happens when a lot of people want to buy something, but there isn't enough of it. Let's take corn as an example. American people usually want to buy 10 tons of corn. Corn is produced from 7 to 10 tons. Everything looks fine. Then a tornado destroys most of the higher plants, leaving only 3 tons available. The demand is still the same, but now there's not enough corn to go around. So people start competing to buy it, and the price goes up. Maybe a pound of corn used to cost $2, but now it costs $3 because there's not enough corn. So when people are competing to buy the stuff, they're paying the price up. The second is the cost of produce.
Woo!
When prices go up because it costs more to make things. Someone sells cotton for $2. But the same tornado that destroyed the corn plant makes the cotton seller.
Woo!
So one bag of cotton now costs $1 of cotton. $1 of other costs and $1 of cotton, making the total price $3. But because of the tornado, the cost of corn goes up to $2, while other production costs stay the same. This means that the cotton seller makes no profit if he doesn't.
Woo!
So the cotton seller has to raise the price of cotton, maybe to $4, so he can still get $1 profit.
W.
This is cost pushing inflation. The cost of making stuff pushes the prices up. The third one is built-in inflation. This happens when rising prices make the cost of living go up, and workers ask for higher wages to keep up. For example, let's say a shoe.
There's these random colors.
Cost of living is $900 a month, and they earn $1,000 a month. They can cover their expenses and still have a bit left over. But if prices rise and their average cost of living jumps to $1,000, they won't have any money left to save. In some cases, the cost of living can even rise higher than their salary. So they ask their boss for a pay raise. If the shoe company raises wages to $1,200, it helps the workers. But now the shoe company has higher costs of production. So they raise their shoe prices to maintain the profit. So higher product costs lead to higher wages to cover living costs, which then lead to even higher product prices.
Woo!
Because trying to keep their profits. And this keeps the cycle keeps going. The fourth one is too much money in the economy. When there's too much money in the economy, prices can rise. Imagine a loaf of bread costs $5, and there are 5 people each with $5. With only 5 loaves available, each person buys one. That's great. But if the government gives everyone an extra $5, now each person has $10. With more money, you can actually want to buy more. Now each person wants 2 loaves, but there's still only 5. The bakery sees this and raises the price to $10 because people are willing to pay more. In the end, each person still buys 1 loaf, but now it costs $10.
Woo!
This is like the last full inflation, which we just talked about. The bakery, which first makes more money, now faces higher costs too, as they compete with other bakeries for wheat. Wheat prices go up, so the bakery has to raise bread prices to keep up. This is like cost-push inflation, which we also just talked about. For a real-life example, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and Weimar Germany have done that. For more on this, check out my video, Why Can't We Just Put More Money? Link in the description. So these are some main common factors and the reasons that cause inflation. Now, you might ask, how do you know how high is the inflation? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in section 3. Do you notice how prices keep going up? Hey there. So, this is Bob. He lives in America, where he uses the US dollar almost every day. Now he wants to travel to Germany, which uses the euro as its currency. But when Bob tries to exchange his money, he finds that $1 US is equal to 90 cents euro. Then Bob goes to Vietnam, where $1 US is equal to 25,000 dong. Wait, hold on. Why does money have different values? Why isn't $1 US equal to 1 euro and 1 dong? And why do exchange rates keep changing every second? In this video, we're going to dive into the world of currencies, exchange rates, and why money
The
isn't
ball
just
is weighed
equal.
12,000
We'll
pounds.
talk about the reasons behind different currency values.
2,688 Waterford crystal triangles make up that ball.
This was known as the gold standard. Under the gold standard, a country's currency was backed by a certain amount of gold. For example, the US dollar was once tied to a fixed amount of gold. This helped keep exchange rates stable because a country couldn't just print more money without having enough gold.
Woo!
From printing too much money. But as economies grew and global trade expanded, countries started moving away from the gold standard. It was getting harder to keep enough gold to back every unit of currency, especially during wars and crises. In the 1970s, most countries have switched to a new system called fiat money. Fiat money is currency without value because the government says it does, and people believe it. It's not backed by any physical asset like gold. That's why some people call it fake money. If you want to learn more about this, let me know in the comments section, and I can make another video for it. As fiat money has no physical value like gold, its value depends on whether people still want it or not. If many people want the money, they will compete to get it, making the value of the money go up. But if nobody wants the money, its value goes down. So, the value of fiat money comes from supply and demand. That's why the currency of strong economies like the US dollar is higher in value because more people want it. Meanwhile, the currency of weaker economies like Venezuela, which had hyperinflation, is much lower because nobody, not even Venezuelans,
9 minutes.
So in this video, we will look at how supply and demand affect the value of money. Section 1. Inflation. So, inflation is when the currency starts losing its value. Simply said, it's where there's more money compared to the amount of product and service. You can watch my video about why don't we just print more money to understand more about this. So, when a country has high inflation, its currency's value will decrease. Why? Because nobody wants to buy and hold a currency that is losing value. For example, in 2022, you can buy 2 loaves of bread for $10. But due to high inflation, 2 years later in 2024, you can just buy a loaf of bread for $10. So you buy fewer things with same amount of money. A real-life example is Zimbabwe. In the 1980s, the Zimbabwean dollar was worth more than the US dollar. 1 Zimbabwean dollar was equal to 1.35 US dollars. But due to their failed land reform, economic problems, corruption, international sanctions, and printing money mindlessly, the value of the Zimbabwean dollar dropped dramatically. By the 2000s, 1 US dollar was equal to almost 600,000 Zimbabwean dollars. The government tried to fix it by changing the currency several times, but in the end, they gave up and started using more stable foreign currencies like the US dollar and the South African rand. Even though the latest news is Zimbabwe trying to get back their original currency. So plus 1 point for never giving up to Zimbabwe. Section 2. Interest rate. You might have heard about interest rates before and wondered why they matter so much. Interest rates are the cost of borrowing money in percent. If you borrow $1,000 at a 10% interest rate, you have to pay back $1,000 plus an extra $100 as interest.
Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the U.S., set interest rates in their countries. When a country has high interest rates, it offers better returns on investments, attracting foreign investors. These investors need to buy that country's currency to invest, which increases demand and strengthens the currency. For example, you want to invest in government bonds. Government bonds are when you lend your money to the government for a set period of time, then the government will return your money with the interest. Let's say you buy a governmental bond for $1,000 with 5% interest for 10 years. It means the government borrows your $1,000 and will pay you 5% interest on $1,000, which is $50 every year for 10 years. So the logic is, the higher the interest rate, higher the return of investment. So, if the interest rate in the US is higher than in Germany, investors might sell their euros and buy US dollars to invest in American bonds or savings accounts with higher returns. This increased demand for US dollars strengthens the currency.
From the USA, I'm just watching the countdown from the USA.
This reduces demand for US dollar, causing its value to decrease. But a country cannot just make its interest rates as high as possible to attract investors. Why? Remember, interest is the cost of borrowing money. High interest rates also mean it becomes more expensive for people and businesses in that country to borrow money. If borrowing becomes expensive, fewer people buy homes or start businesses. This can slow the economy and lead to unemployment. So the central bank needs to increase and decrease the interest rate based on the country's situation. And that's why everyone is afraid of this guy when he announces the U.S. interest rate.
Yes! Four.
Section 3. Country situation and foreign investment. When China opened up its market in the late 1970s to foreign investors, lots of foreign companies started to open their business in China. If they wanted to open factories in China, of course they needed Chinese currency, which is yuan or renminbi, to buy the land, build the factories, pay the workers and other expenses. So it just makes more demand for Chinese yuan and make the yuan value stronger and give China lots of money. That's why almost all countries promote their countries to foreign investors and lure them to invest and do business in their countries. But foreign investors won't just invest in any country. They look for countries with stable politics and economies. Why? A stable government means consistent rules and laws for businesses. For example, if a country promises low taxes to attract foreign businesses, but then suddenly raises taxes, it becomes more expensive for those businesses. They could lose money. If a country keeps changing its rules, businesses won't feel safe investing there. Similarly, if there are lots of protests or strikes, it can disrupt production and make it hard for businesses to operate smoothly. A stable economy is also important because it means the country's money is less likely to lose value suddenly. If a country has a lot of debt, high inflation, or frequent economic problems, foreign investors worry they might lose money. So a stable country is more attractive for investment, which helps keep its currency strong. Section 4. Export and import. When Japan exports cars to other countries, those countries need to use Japanese yen to buy the cars. This makes the yen high in demand. If Japan imports coal from Australia, they need to use Australian dollars to buy the coal, which increases demand for the Australian dollar. Most countries try to export more so that others need to buy their currency, making it stronger. For example, when the U.S. convinced oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia to sell oil only in U.S. dollars, it made the U.S. dollar highly in demand. Since almost all countries need oil, they have to get U.S. dollars to buy it. This made the U.S. dollar a global currency, strengthening the U.S. economy and influence as the number one in the world. This is known as the petrodollar. Even though there's rumors
OML.
accept other currencies also. I can also make another video about it if you want. On the other hand, small island nations in the Pacific, like Tuvalu, don't have much to export, so their local currencies aren't widely used. Instead, they use stronger currencies like the US dollar or Australian dollar to make trade easy. Section 5. Fixed value. So if you want your country to get stable and strong currency and also doesn't want to be hassle about it, then just use this trick. Just peg your currency.
The new year 2025 is beginning now.
An oil-rich small sultanate in Southeast Asia pegged their currency 1-to-1 to Singapore dollar. So it means both currencies have exactly the same value, and that's why you also can use Singapore dollars in yuan and vice versa. Another example is Belize, a small country next to Mexico.
40 seconds.
Its currency, the US dollar, is the US dollar. They set the limit so that one Belize dollar is always equal to half the US dollar.
30 seconds.
Change your US dollar to Belize dollar. You don't need to see the exchange.
25 seconds. We're about 20 seconds away. This is gonna be cool.
If the US dollar falls, the Belize dollar will fall too.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Happy 2025!